I'm Dr. Christy, and this is Climbing Fish Parenting, practical parenting strategies in 20 minutes or less. I'm a psychologist and behavior analyst, and I work with exhausted, overwhelmed parents who feel like they've tried everything and nothing works. If you're listening to this while folding the laundry, hiding in your car, or wishing bedtime would just end already, you're in the right place. Today's topic is clear expectations, and this might be the single most powerful parenting strategy you'll ever learn. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why vague expectations set everyone up for failure, how to set crystal clear boundaries your child can actually follow, and what to do if you haven't been doing this until now. Ready to transform your parenting journey? Let's dive in. Let me paint you a picture. It's Saturday morning. Your house is a disaster. Toys everywhere, dishes piled up, laundry overflowing. You look at your 10-year-old and say, "I need you to clean up." Your child looks around, grabs one toy, puts it in the bin, and then wanders off to play video games. You come back 20 minutes later and lose it. "I told you to clean up. Why is nothing done?" Your child looks genuinely confused. "I did clean up. I put the toy away." And now you're furious because they're being defiant, and they're frustrated because they have no idea what they did wrong. Here's what's actually happening. You gave a vague expectation. Clean up could mean anything. To you, it meant clean the entire living room. To your child, it meant put away one thing. Nobody was wrong. You just weren't speaking the same language. This is what happens when expectations aren't clear, and it's one of the biggest sources of conflict, frustration, and power struggles in your home. Here's what I need you to know. Most behavior problems aren't actually behavior problems. They're communication problems. Your child isn't defying you on purpose. They genuinely don't know what you want them to do. Why clear expectations are your biggest parenting hack. Let me tell you something that might blow your mind. When expectations are crystal clear, most kids will follow them. Not because you're rewarding them with prizes or punishing them with consequences, just because humans actually like knowing what's expected of them. Think about your own life. When you start a new job and your boss gives you vague instructions, just handle the client accounts. You're anxious. You don't know if you're doing it right. You second guess everything. But when your boss says, call each client by Friday, send a follow-up email on Monday, and update the spreadsheet with notes from each conversation, you feel confident. You know exactly what success looks like. Your child is the same way. When they don't know what's expected, they're anxious. They're guessing. They're going to get it wrong a lot. And they're going to feel like they're constantly in trouble for things they didn't even know they were supposed to do. But when expectations are clear, your child knows exactly what to do. They can be successful. They can meet your expectations. And they feel competent instead of constantly criticized. Here's what research shows us. Clear expectations reduce anxiety, increase compliance, decrease power struggles, and build your child's confidence. This one shift changes everything. How we accidentally set unclear expectations. Most parents don't realize they're being vague. You think you're being clear, but you're actually leaving huge gaps that your child has to guess their way through. Let me show you what this looks like. A vague expectation would be good at Grandma's house. What does be good mean? Does it mean don't run, don't yell, share toys, say please and thank you, use your indoor voice? Your 8-year-old has no idea. So they're going to do what feels natural to them, which might not match what you meant by be good. A clear expectation sounds like this. At Grandma's house, use your indoor voice, say please and thank you, and if you need to run around, ask to go outside. Now your child knows exactly what success looks like. There's no guessing. Here's another one. A vague expectation. Clean your room before dinner. What does clean mean? Does it mean make the bed, pick up clothes, vacuum, put away toys, organize the bookshelf? Your child might pick up 3 things off the floor and genuinely think they've cleaned. A clear expectation sounds like this. Before dinner, I need you to put all your dirty clothes in the hamper, Put your clean clothes away and put all the toys back in the bins. Now there's no room for interpretation. Your child knows exactly what they need to do. Here's one more, a vague expectation. Use good manners at the table. Here's the clear expectation. At the table, wait until everyone is sitting down before you start eating. If you're not sure if you can start, ask me. See the difference? Vague expectations leave your child guessing. Clear expectations tell them exactly what to do. And here's what's beautiful about this. I lived this exact scenario in my own house. My kids were taking forever to come to the dinner table. Then once they finally sat down, they would start shoving food in their mouths so fast that I'd barely get to sit down before they were halfway through their meal. It was chaos every single night. So I set a clear expectation. We wait until everyone is sitting at the table before anyone starts eating. That's it. Crystal clear. And do you know what happened? They started waiting. They watch to see when everyone sits down. And when they're not sure if they can start yet, they actually ask me, Mom, can we start now? Not because I'm standing over them with consequences, not because there's some big reward waiting, just because they know what's expected. And it turns out kids actually like having that clarity. If you want your child to follow through, every expectation needs 3 parts. Part 1, what you want them to do. That's the specific behavior, not be respectful. That's abstract. Instead, talk in a calm voice without yelling or name-calling, not help with chores. Instead, set the table by putting out plates, forks, and cups for everyone, not get ready for school. Instead, get dressed, brush your teeth, and put your backpack by the door. The more specific you are, the more likely your child is to do exactly what you want. Part 2, when you want it done. That's the timeline. Clean your room is vague. Clean your room before dinner is better. Clean your room in the next 30 minutes before we eat at 6 is crystal clear. Kids, especially kids with ADHD or executive functioning challenges, need concrete timelines. Later or soon or when you get a chance means nothing to their brain. Give them a specific time. Part 3, what success looks like. This is how they'll know they're done. This is the part most parents skip, and it's critical. Your child needs to know what the end point is. Put away your toys. When are they done? When the floor is clear? When the bins are organized? When the books are back on the shelf? Be explicit. You're done when all the toys are in the bins and I can see the floor. When you include all 3 parts, the specific behavior, the timeline, and what success looks like, your child has everything they need to follow through. How kids respond to clear expectations and why it matters. Here's what happens when you start giving clear expectations. In the short term, your child follows through more often, power struggles decrease, you're not repeating yourself constantly. Your child feels more confident because they're getting it right more often. You're less frustrated because you're not constantly disappointed. In the long run, your child develops internal structure. They learn how to break down big tasks into smaller steps. They learn what clean, respectful, and helpful actually mean in concrete terms. They develop executive functioning skills, planning, organizing, task initiation, because you've been modeling it for them through your clear expectations. And here's the part that extends into adulthood. Kids who grow up with clear expectations become adults who can follow directions, meet deadlines, and understand what's expected of them at work and in relationships. They don't have to guess what their boss wants or what their partner needs. They've learned how to ask for clarity and how to deliver on specific expectations. But kids who grow up with vague expectations, they become adults who are constantly anxious, always guessing, never sure if they're doing it right. They struggle at work because they don't know how to translate "do a good job" into specific actions. They struggle in relationships because they don't know what their partner actually needs from them. Clear expectations aren't just about getting your kid to clean their room today. You're teaching them how to function successfully in every area of their life. What happens when expectations aren't clear? Let me show you what unclear expectations create, both in the short term and the long term. The short-term consequences. Your child is constantly getting in trouble for things they didn't know they weren't supposed to do. They feel criticized, incompetent, and frustrated. You feel like your child never listens, never follows through, and is deliberately defying you. Power struggles increase because your child is defensive. They genuinely thought they did what you asked. Trust erodes because your child starts to feel like they can't win with you. Here are the long-term consequences. Your child develops learned helplessness. They stop trying because they feel like they're going to fail anyway. Or they become perfectionistic and anxious, constantly trying to guess what you want and terrified of getting it wrong. They don't develop strong executive functioning skills because they've never had a model for how to break down tasks or what done actually looks like. This matters. The way you set expectations now shapes how your child navigates their entire life. Clear expectations for neurodivergent kids. If your child has ADHD, autism, anxiety, or executive functioning challenges, clear expectations aren't just helpful, they're essential. For kids with ADHD, their brain just can't hold abstract concepts like clean up or be good. They need concrete, sequential steps, and they need those steps written down or shown visually because their working memory is weak. You might need to say, first, put the books on the shelf. Come back when that's done and I'll tell you the next step, one step at a time, with a checkpoint in between. For kids with autism, abstract language is genuinely confusing. Be respectful or use good manners means nothing to their brain. They need literal, specific directions. Look at grandma when she's talking to you and say thank you when she gives you something. And they need you to be consistent. The expectation can't change based on context or mood because that's too unpredictable for their brain to manage. For kids with anxiety, vague expectations increase their anxiety exponentially. When they don't know exactly what's expected, their brain fills in the gaps with worst-case scenarios. Clear expectations actually calm their nervous system because they know what to do. The predictability is soothing. For all neurodivergent kids, consider using visual supports, checklists, pictures, written instructions. Their brain processes visual information more easily than auditory information. A picture of a clean room or a checklist of bedtime steps is worth 1,000 verbal reminders. What to do if you haven't been giving clear expectations. Okay, so you're listening to this and realizing, oh no, I've been giving vague expectations for years. How do I fix this without making everything worse? Here's the truth. When you start being clear about expectations after years of being vague, your child might push back. And here's why. To them, it's going to feel like you've suddenly introduced a bunch of new rules. They're going to think, I've been doing this the same way forever, and now it's a problem? They might feel blindsided, controlled, or like you're being unfair. So you need to introduce this shift carefully. Step 1, name what you're changing and why. Sit your child down when things are calm and say something like, I've realized I haven't been very clear about what I expect from you, and that's made things harder for both of us. Starting today, I'm going to be really specific about what I need you to do. This isn't about adding more rules. It's about making sure we're both on the same page. You're framing this as helping them be successful, not as cracking down on them. Step 2, start small. Don't overhaul everything at once. Pick one area, maybe bedtime routine or homework or mealtime manners, and get really clear about expectations in that one area. Let your child experience success with clear expectations before you expand to other areas. Step 3, involve them in defining success. For older kids especially, this is huge. Say, I need your room cleaned before dinner. What does clean look like to you? Let them tell you. You might need to add a few specifics, but involving them in the process makes them feel like they have buy-in instead of feeling controlled. Step 4, expect an extinction burst. We'll be talking about the extinction burst in a few episodes, When you change the system, behavior often gets worse before it gets better. Your child might push back, test the new expectations, or escalate. That's normal. Stay consistent. The behavior will settle. Step 5. Reinforce success heavily. When your child meets a clear expectation, make a big deal out of it. You got all 3 things done before dinner. That's exactly what I asked for. Thank you. You're teaching their brain, when I do this, I get positive attention and things go smoothly. Let me address some of the challenges that come up when you start setting clear expectations. Sometimes your child argues with the expectation or tries to negotiate. This is pretty common, especially with strong-willed kids. Here's the key. The expectation is not up for debate. You can involve them in how they meet the expectation, but the expectation itself is firm. For example, you need to clean your room before screen time. You can start with the clothes or the toys. You choose, but both need to be done before screens. What about if your child says they forgot what you asked them to do? For younger kids or kids with ADHD, this is genuine. Their working memory is weak. Write it down. Use a visual checklist. Have them repeat it back to you before they start. Give them tools to remember, not just verbal instructions. What if you give clear expectations but your child still doesn't follow through? Make sure you're adding consequences and reinforcement. A clear expectation without a consequence means nothing. If they don't clean their room by dinner, what happens? If they do clean their room, what's the positive outcome? Your child needs to know both sides. What if you feel like this is just too rigid or controlling? Clear expectations aren't about controlling your child. They're about giving your child the information they need to be successful. There is a difference between, you will do this because I said so, and here's exactly what I need from you, and here's why. You can be warm, flexible, and connected while still having clear expectations. In fact, clear expectations make it easier to be flexible because you're both starting from the same understanding. The long game, what you're really teaching. Here's what I need you to understand. When you set clear expectations, you're not just getting your child to clean their room or behave at grandma's house. You're teaching them massive life skills. You're teaching them how to break down abstract concepts into concrete actions. Be a good friend becomes check in on your friend when they're upset. Invite them to sit with you at lunch and listen when they talk. You're teaching them how to self-monitor. When they know what success looks like, they can check their own work and know when they're done. You're teaching them how to ask for clarity. When they grow up in an environment where expectations are clear, they learn it's okay to say, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you be more specific? That's a life-changing skill in work, relationships, and every other area of life. You're teaching them that structure isn't punitive, it's supportive. Clear expectations aren't about controlling them. They're about setting them up to succeed. Here's the bottom line. Clear expectations are one of the most powerful tools you have as a parent. They reduce power struggles, decrease anxiety, increase compliance, and build your child's confidence and executive functioning skills. Most behavior problems aren't defiance. They're communication breakdowns. Your child doesn't know what you want them to do, so they guess. They get it wrong, and everyone ends up frustrated. The fix? Be specific. Tell them exactly what behavior you want, when you want it done, and what success looks like. Write it down. Use visuals. Have them repeat it back. Make it impossible for them to misunderstand. And if you haven't been doing this until now, start small. Name what you're changing. Involve your child in the process. Expect some pushback, and reinforce success heavily when they get it right. This isn't about being rigid or controlling. It's about giving your child the tools they need to succeed. Because when kids know what's expected, they rise to meet it. All right, that's it for today. Remember, most of the time when your child isn't following through, it's not defiance. It's confusion. They don't know exactly what you want them to do. Clear expectations change everything. The fix? Be specific about the behavior, the timeline, and what success looks like. Write it down. Use visuals. And if you're just starting to set clear expectations, introduce it carefully, expect some pushback, and reinforce success heavily. If this was helpful, hit subscribe so next week's episode shows up automatically. And if you want more strategies for handling the tough parenting moments, head to my website at climbingfishparenting.com and sign up for my newsletter. You'll get practical scripts, real-life examples, and strategies you can use right away. That strategy I just gave you, it's the whole climbing fish philosophy in action. There's a quote, "Everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid." Your kid isn't broken. Your parenting isn't broken. Sometimes we're just asking our fish to climb trees. That's what we fix here. I'm Dr. Christy, and I'll see you next week.